Hello everyone and welcome to Anything Geek. My name is Zero and we are on part 4 of my OP05 breakdown before the set releases. So today we're gonna take a look at all the purple cards for OP05, but if you haven't yet, I highly suggest you check out the first video in this series, which are for red, green and blue. Let's dive in. As usual, we start this video with a leader, which is the purple leader Monkey D. Luffy for OP05. It is a pure purple leader for once. It's been a while since we've had a just solid color leader. This one has an activate main. Once per turn, you may take the top card from your life cards to your hand, and if the amount of done on your field is either 0 or 3 or more, you can add up to one done card from your done deck and set it as active. And it might seem confusing at first, but this is just so you cannot use this effect on the first turn of the game. Because if you're going first, you're just gonna have one done the first turn, and then the second turn you're gonna have 3, so you can activate this. But if you're going second, you're gonna have 2 cards, so you cannot just use this on the first turn, or if you just tapped out all your done because of some card's effect. And of course, we already know that this is a very potent leader because it has been quite used in the OP05 meta over in the Asian version of the game. And next we have the first character, which is Husohachi, 3 cost, 4000 power with a counter of 2000. And the next one, when you attack, if you have 8 or more done on your field, you can rest an opponent's character with a cost of 4 or less. This is perfect because purple is typically ramp for done, so you do want to have the maximum amount of done that you can, and having 8 done on your field is something that you can achieve quite easily, meaning that you can use this effect more effectively. Also 2k counter, we love those. Then we have Onami, 1 cost, 1000 power with a counter of 1000. If you have 10 done on your field, this character gains blocker. I'm not really sure I like the blocker being conditional here, but we know that purple has an easier time getting all those downs on the field, so this might still be a viable option. Next we have Orobi, 4 cost, 5000 power and a counter of 1000, with the on-play effect that if you have 8 or more done on your field, you can kill up to one of your opponent character that costs 3 or less. Again, it's a non-play effect that is kind of conditional. I don't really like this because it means that you have to take this into account when you deck build, but this can still be very effective and very useful if you build correctly around the effect. Next we have Killer of the Kid Pirate, 1 cost, 2000 power and a counter of 1000. On play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 Kid Pirate type cards other than Killer and add it to your hand. Then you can return the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Basic searcher for the Kid Pirate. If you want to go and build a Kid Pirate deck, which you can with the leader from the starter deck 10, then this is a searcher for it. You can totally use this. Next we have a vanilla card, which is Sangoro, 6 cost, 8000 power with a counter of 1000. Nothing much to say about this. It's a big body on the board and you can play this fairly easily because you're in purple, you ram fast. Also take note of Zoro in the background because we are gonna see this in another card very soon. Next we have Jinbei, 5 cost, 6000 power and a counter of 1000 with the blocker skills and also an opponent's turn effect. If your board has 10 done, this character has plus 1000 power. So you can potentially have a 7k blocker on the board for 5. Just keep in mind you need to have a tight done ramp. And next we have Zoro Juro. Remember I told you to take note of the Zoro in the background of the Sanji card because you actually see Sanji right here on the card as well. It's a 3 cost 4000 power card with a counter of 1000, and when attacking, if you have 3 or less life, you can add up to 1 done from your done deck and set it as active. So you can potentially milk this character's effect to keep ramping your done in purple. This is very good and I would suggest taking the highest advantage you can from this card and keeping it on the board no matter what. Next we have Chopemon, 2 cost, 3000 power with a counter of 1000 and a non-play effect. If you have 8 or more done on your field, you can set up to one of your purple character with 6000 power or less and the Straw Hat type as active. So you can actually restand the Zoro, the Jinbei, and possibly the Nami, Usohachi, and Robin, not the Sangoro, of course, but you can restand one of those characters and keep the pressure on with your opponent. That's very good, but I would say this is not the main thing that purple needs, so it depends on which straw hat purple deck you're building. Next we have Trafalgar Law, 3 cost, 5000 power, and the first SR for purple that we have, and an effect that is when attacking, if your opponent has more Dawn cards on their field than you, then you can look at 5 cards from the top of your deck and reveal up to 1 Earth Pirate and add it to your hand. Then you can place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. Much like Killer that we just saw is the searcher for the Kids Pirate, this is a searcher for the Earth Pirate that you will get a package of in the starter deck 10. Next we have Franosuke, 5 cost, 4000 power and a counter of 2000. And an effect that Dawn X1, if you have 8 or more Dawn on your field, this character gains Rush. So depending on the use case, you might catch your opponents off guard with the sudden Rush in purple, and if not, then it's still a good 2k counter in your hand. That's good. Next we have Beppo from the Earth Pirate, 3 cost, 5000 power, and a when attacking effect. If you have less Dawn cards on your field than your opponent, you can give up to one of your opponent's character minus 2000 until the end of the turn. Might be useful to attack the board of your opponent and prevent him from taking board control. Next we have Bonikishi, 4 cost, 6000 power, and on play, if your board has 8 or more Dawn, you can give up to 2 of your opponent's character minus 2000. That's actually a very good nerf. The only thing that is missing is a 2k counter or a 1k counter to make it even more good, but we know of course some removal targets a specific power to be able to take effect, and this is very cool because it nerfs the board of your opponent, allowing you to be more aggressive and put more pressure on your opponent. Next we have Miss Double Finger, 4 cost, 4000 power and a 2k counter, and an on-play effect that you may trash a card from your hand and add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. So you get ramp, that's good, and also a trigger which is Dawn -1, you can play this card. I see no reason not to activate this trigger because you get a Dawn back from playing these cards, provided you have to trash a card, but you will get that Dawn back. Next we have the second SR of the purple for OP05, which is a 5 cost, 6000 power, used as Captain Kidd with a counter of 1000 and blocker actually, and we know blockers on 6ks are good, and during your turn, once per turn, when a Dawn card from your field is returned to your Dawn deck, you can add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So his effect is to help you mitigate the Dawn minus effect on your cards, which is very good because purple, you're gonna be Dawn minusing and you need that ramp to get that Dawn economy going if you want to be efficient. Next we have Mr. 1 Das Bones, 1 cost, 1000 power with a counter of 1000 and an effect on the opponent's attack. Once per turn you can Dawn -1, play up to 1 Baroque Work type character cards with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. It's kind of getting the Blurple Crocodile back on track with those additions, which is very good because Blurple Crocodile was very interesting and very popular, but it lacked the tools to be relevant in the meta. So we might see a return from that leader. And we are already at the event for purple, and the first one is when you're at sea you fight Pirate, which is a 1 cost event with the main effect that look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Straw Hat, Kid Pirate or Herd Pirate type and add it to your hand. Then you can place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order with the trigger that you can activate this card's main effect. That's very good, that's a searcher, it has a trigger, it's all good. And if you're wondering why it targets all 3 types, that's because of the starter deck 10. You can use this in starter deck 10 to boost the starter deck and makes it even better than it already is. And the second event that we have is Gamma Knife from the Earth Pirate. It's a 2 cost event with the main effect Dawn -1. You can give up to one of your opponent's character minus 5000 during this turn. Minus 5000 for a 2 cost, that's really good. also has a trigger. You can add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. And the last event that we have for purple in OP05 is Punk Rotten. For 2 costs, you can Dawn -1, choose one of your leader or character with the Kit Pirate attribute and give him plus 5000 power. It's a main effect, so you can play this on your turn. And also it has a trigger that you can add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. If you're building a Kid Pirate deck, this is a good event to have. The last card from the purple color is a bit special. It's the second secret rare, and I want to give out a bit of a spoiler warning for anybody who's not caught up with the end of Wano yet. Most people already know this, but some still don't, and they're trying to catch up with One Piece. So if you're among those person, feel free to skip ahead with the time code below. And the last card for purple is actually the secret rare Monkey D. Luffy, the Gear 5 Luffy that we had at the end of Wano. It's a 10 cost, 12,000 power card, no counter, but the effect on these cards, as soon as I saw this, I was like, I need to build this. I need to build a deck for this. Because the first effect is a non-play effect that you actually Dawn -10. So you will have no Dawn to do anything once you play this. But when you Dawn -10, you place all your character other than this character at the bottom of your deck in any order. And then after this turn, you take another turn. So already like you're putting yourself at a big disadvantage because you're wiping your board clean, but you also get to play another turn. So that's very cool, and you're gonna have 2 Dawn when you start this next turn. So bear in mind, if you don't have a good ramp going with some other effect, you're not gonna be able to use the purple Luffy that we saw at the beginning of this video, because his effect is if you have 0 Dawn or 3 Dawn. So make sure you play this right. And the second part of this card's effect is actually an activate main. Once per turn for 1 Dawn, you can add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So again, make sure you take advantage of this because of the Dawn curves that you're gonna be playing with. Other than that, I find this secret rare to be so exciting to play with and to build around with. I can't wait to have them. But that is it guys for all the purple cards for OP05. Make sure to leave a comment down below which cards is your favorite from the set, or perhaps you're more fan of another color that we've already talked about. Remember, we already talked about red, green, blue, and now purple, so there is definitely a lot to choose from. And in the meantime, if you're still here, that means the video was at the very least entertaining to you, so please leave a like and also subscribe to the channel to never miss anything geek. Bye guys.